All right, so when it's black here, I'm going to now take a brush and I'm going to reveal some of the side, but in kind of a blurry way. Okay, so I'm going to take a brush, which is over here in my toolbar. B is the command for it. And it already has, if I were to right-click anywhere, you can see here that my hardness is 0, meaning it's a gradient. It's a blurry brush. I want that because I want it to be kind of a graded effort. Now I can just drag, whoops, wrong color. Okay, over here in the colors here, we've got black and white. Whatever's on top is what your brush is going to do. Whatever's on the bottom is what your eraser will do. The brush and the eraser are opposite to each other. Okay, so if I were to take my brush, and I can click on this arrow and switch those at any time, or I can just hit the stroke X. X does the same thing. Okay, so I make it white. I'm painting white on black, and everywhere that I paint white, it gives this. It reveals the darker version of that bottle that I had before, right? Which gives the dimension that I wanted to the outsides of that bottle. Now, I can just drag with my mouse, click and drag if I want to, but it may not be straight, see, because I can drag anywhere that I want. If I want to make that line perfectly straight, then I'll click above, and then I'll hold Shift, go straight below it, and it will draw between my two lines. Right? So I click, hold down Shift, click again, and it'll draw a straight line between my 2 points. And if I didn't get that quite straight, I'll back up, Control Z or Command Z, right? And then I'll do it again so that I can just get that nice and straight. Now the nice thing about doing it on a mask is it's non-destructive, meaning this is just a layer and I'm just showing things, and I can paint back. I can switch to X, I can go back to black, and I can paint away. You know, I can paint away what I've painted in. I can paint anything white, black, and I can paint anything black, white. So by doing so, I'm just revealing or concealing. Right? White reveals, black conceals. Then if I want to do the same kind of a thing, and this is just an effect layer, so it's just happening to this layer, and I can turn that layer on and off at any time. It's just sitting over the top of my visuals. And if I wanted to only apply to this label only, then I would hover over this line between the two layers here and hold down Alt or Option, and you see how it shows this little square in this arrow. If I click on that, then it ties it only to this object. Meaning if I show anything else below it, that effect will not be, so if I hide this layer, that effect is not applied to anything other than the layer that I'm on. Okay? All right, so, oops, open those back up. I don't need to tie it per se. Okay, now I want to do the same thing, but this had some shine on it, right? And the shine was, I'm going to hide this for just a moment. The shine, it's a little stronger at the top of the label than it is at the bottom of the label. So I'm going to start off with having a crisp shape, and I'm going to blur it just a little bit, and then I'm going to have it fade away to nothing as we go down in order to simulate this actual shine that I have on the bottle. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pen tool. This is another must. I highly recommend that if you're going to get good at anything in Photoshop, learn the layers palette and learn the pen tool. These two are when other forms of selection fail you, the pen tool will allow you to get absolutely precise and perfect with your selection. You can get pixel perfect, meaning you can do it you can divide one pixel from one other pixel if you needed to get that perfect. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to, I have my pen tool set on path. It's going to make a vector path for me, and then I'm going to allow that path to take on some characteristics. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply draw a rectangle. Yeah, I'm going to draw a rectangle. So there is my path. I just click, 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 click. Now, the nice thing about a pen tool is, and I'm going to show this in a bit here, but I can take and use what I call handlebars. I don't even know what they're actually called. I can use these handlebars to steer the curvature of that line, right? And I can make this pen tool follow all sorts of curves, and I can get it exact or or close, depending on what your objective is. Sometimes you just want to get it close. And at any time I can come back in here and I can edit each individual one so that I can make it more precise. Once it's there in place, I can add to and take away from the line, but this is part of using the pen tool and learning how to change the lines. We could probably have a whole course just on vector, if we ever want to continue these, on vector use. This is an Illustrator tool, the pen tool is, that they've brought into Photoshop and incorporate in here. But if you can use the pen tool here, you can use it in Premiere Pro, and you can use it in Illustrator, right? And you can use it in InDesign, and it's useful in all of the softwares for selection. Okay, I'm going to delete that selection. Now all the selections are saved here in this little paths palette. So I've made the one selection here, but I don't actually have to do anything with here, because if I come back down to my effects here, to my adjustment layers, I can click on that and I say, I want a solid color. I want a solid color in that space, in my path, because it was already activated. It's going to make it blue. I'm going to say, okay, now, do I want it blue? No. But it doesn't really matter what color you make it, because all you have to do is double click on the layer and choose the color you want from 16 million colors, or you can sample anything from the bottle so that you can get exact shades and exact colors of other elements that are in your picture. If you're doing interior design and you want to have a color theme on certain elements, you'll select those elements, put one of these color fields over the top, and then you're going to apply a blend mode in order to just turn them that color. We'll be doing that here shortly, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so let's just say that I want this white, because that is what I want, and we're going to put one of our blend modes on. In this case, let me get my label back. We're going to come up here in this little bar here, which is our blend modes, and we're going to say I would like to put a soft light on it. Now you can see that a soft light makes it transparent, and yet you can see that it's still there, but it's a little too hard still, right? Now I can put a blur on this. Because it's a smart object, I can put a blur on this, which is filter, blur, right here. I'm going to just do a Gaussian blur. And I can say, yes, convert it to a smart object. And I'm going to tell it to blur it maybe 3 points. Just a little bit of blurriness. Something similar to what's on that bottle up above, right? It's a little blurred, but not a lot blurred. So I'm going to say 3, yeah, that's good. Hit OK, and now you can see that all of that is saved right here in this smart filter, Gaussian blur. I can click on it at any time. I can adjust that and say, no, I want it to be 2. No, I want it to be 4. All that is non-destructive and can be changed back at any time. Okay, so 3 is fine. Let's make it 3. We're going to hit OK. Now I want to come in and I want to shave away some of the bottom so it has this gradation here. So I'm going to put a mask on it, which it makes it white, meaning everything is revealed. I'm going to take my brush tool again here with black as my color over here, as you can see. And as I brush over it, it's going to gradate it. It's going to grade it so that it starts off as fully transparent, going to partially transparent, right? And it will become what looks like a realistic shine, particularly when we get the whole thing put together. I can now hold down Option or Alt, and look what it does to my arrow key. So I'm using my move arrow right now. When I hold down Option or Alt, it gives me this double arrow effect. If I drag, it just creates a duplicate of that exact item, right? And so I can have once I've created the shine once, I can just duplicate it, and now I've got the shine in both places. So I've got my shine, my dark areas, which is my dodging and my burning. That's the kind of the technique that they call it in photography. And that gives me the dimension that I want to my bottle. Now we're going to back up for just a moment, and we're going to say, well, what if I did all of this, but I don't have it contained within the area that I want? What if I don't have this mask yet over my label? And I'm going to say, okay, well, let's say that we start off with a picture of another bottle, right? In this case, I would come up and I would use my pen tool and I would draw over the area that I want to mask. Click in the middle and, oops. I'm going to click in the middle and drag. You'll see how it bends my line. And the only way to kind of understand the way that the lines work is to really play around with it. Play around with it enough, be frustrated with it enough that you start to understand the way that the pen tool behaves, that those handlebars behave. All right, so I've got this area here, and it falls right over the top of the area that I want to contain. So then when I come up to my, I'm going to delete just the mask. I come up to all of my elements that comprise the label, and I say, I'm going to come into my paths palette here, roll over the icon here, and hold down Command. And you'll see that when I do, it gives me this selection option. When I click on that, it says, oh, okay, I've just turned your path into a selection. What do you want to do with it? And then I'll tell it, oh, let's make a mask here. Now all of those elements, whatever's in the white area, right, is revealed, and whatever's outside of that is concealed, whatever's in the black area. And if I did it the opposite, no big deal. You just hit Command I, and now everything that's outside of that is revealed, which of course is not what I wanted, but you may do sometimes. You may get the opposite of what you're intending. The opposite is just as good as the original, because you can just invert it, and then you're good to go. Okay? So I've masked in my label. I've placed shading on it. I've showed you how to bring in an object from another program, to copy and to drag it and drop it into place, to transform it and form it around something. And once it's transformed and formed around something, if I want to now bring in a different label, right, I can bring it into my root file and save it up the line, and it will have done all of these effects that I've just done to this. It'll have done them all already. So there is some time. What I'll often do in the creative space is I'll say there is a template fee. The template fee is $200 for me to build the first item, and then there's a variation fee, and then it'll be $15 for each item after that, right? So that if they come to me and they've got 50 bottles that they need me to design, but they're all identical except for, you know, maybe the name on it or something like that, then they'll pay the template fee once, and then that $15 fee for each additional version of the product that they have, just to pay for the processing of going through and then formatting it all. Now, as I showed you last time, once we've got these elements into place and we go up the line and we have, boom, right here, we save everything into nested products. Actually, I would probably do it in this one right here. I'm going to save that as I've got keystrokes for these so that I can quickly make them smart or quickly make them layered. That's something you'd have to do manually, but it's easy to make manual keystrokes. I can show you that. Email me if that's something you need to learn how to do. From here, if I open this one up as well, so that I have all of these open, I can take all of my products now that I've created, and all the ones that I select, I can then export as individual files. It'll format them all the same and save them as a JPEG or a PNG, compressed, ready for online use, so that I'm keeping track of it all in my various layers. Let's say that I'm doing an Instagram campaign, right? I can build all of my posts in the same canvas size so that I can have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and keep all of my February files all together in one PSB. And then I can take the whole group. What I recommend to my clients, for example, is if we're doing a social media campaign, let's build all of your posts on one day, 30 days in advance. We know all of the posts that we're going to do in March. Let's build them all today so that you can review them. We can make sure that everything's the way you want. We can anticipate holidays and other things that are coming up. We build them all in one big file like that and export them all together in their format for when we're actually going to upload them. And then they're identical in terms of their sizing. We can see that there's a pattern, and we're using the same color schemes. We're using, the same fonts. We're maintaining control over all of those different elements. So you'd take all of those different layers and you'd export them all at the same time using this export tool. In this case, all of these would export. You can see the size that it would be. This first one here, I accidentally made a PNG. All the rest of them were a JPEG, and look at the size difference. 1.7 megabytes versus 480 kilobytes. So if I come up here and I say, okay, I've got them all selected, I want to make them all JPEG, now it'll take that first one and make it 430 kilobytes. And I can see before I ever even save it, if this is going to fit within what I'm trying to do. Sometimes websites are particular about the size that an image has to be below. Generally, if you're doing Google ads or some kind of advertisement, your banner has to be below a certain size in kilobytes in order for them to accept it. So anyway, once it's the way I like it, I click export, choose the file, the folder that I'm going to put it in, and off they go. They're exported like that. Okay?